Financial inclusion is really the delivery of adequate banking and payment services to the entire population at an affordable cost, but in particular to disadvantaged and low-income groups. And lack of adequate access to financial and payment services, it simply reinforces the risk of financial and social exclusion.
It's about those people and families, groups, individuals who are, one way or another, don't have the same access to financial services that the rest of the community do. It's not just about people on very low incomes, but it certainly is about that, because even people on modest incomes may find it difficult to have access to the full range of financial services, whether it's bank accounts, payment systems, credit or insurance, long-term savings, pensions.
It happens that there are supermarkets who invent cash-free days, give special offers or discounts on those who want to pay with debit cards or even credit cards. The acceptance of euro banknotes and coins are means of payments in retail banking, and that should be the rule.
Today we stand on the crossroad and at very important historical moment when the SEPA project is developing. There are a lot of legislative acts like PSD, e-payments directive, and then regulation on cross-border services, and we are not sure where we are going to. If all these developments will benefit consumers, will give them more choice and cheaper prices, or the opposite. Cash is one choice among others for consumers, and especially it's important for financially excluded people. That's why we don't see any good reason for phasing out cash, at least for the moment, at least for the time that there is no viable alternative to cash, which is available to all consumers.
As you know, in some countries, for example in France, paper checks are still widely used, and certainly all people would not like this method of payment, traditional method of payment, to disappear. The year 2012, which will be the European Year of Active Aging and Solidarity between Generations, should be specially used to improve the solidarity between generations and take all people fully into consideration.
If we even had full implementation of what are agreed recommendations, the situation would be a lot better than it is at present. But we're a long way from that, particularly in some member states. It can be tricky to regulate, but if you start on a number of principles, the principle of choice, the principle of transparency, of cost. If you look at these, then it becomes not necessarily easier to regulate, but easier to see how best to regulate. We've done it in other areas.
In the Parliament, we have to make sure that when we're talking about social inclusion, we remember the financial inclusion dimension of it. I think we also need to be chasing the Commission to try and ensure that we have these these sort of issues in mind at all times, and to see whether there is a role for appropriate European action. Recommendations are one thing, soft policy, but to see whether at some point there is a need for legislation to push member states to make sure provision is there.